Okay, go for it.
Hi, I'm MingWei. Last year I was the co-engineering president for the engineering team on Team Paradox 102. This year I'm a senior and I'm about to graduate in a week. Last month I made and designed a robot that I call Mew, and this has all the components of an FRC robot just scaled down, so essentially kind of like FTC, but with some really overpowered motors because I thought that was very appropriate. So first off, this is the chassis. We start with 4 motors on each wheel, and it uses this special type of wheels called mechanism wheels. They're just basically a wheel on rollers on an individual wheel mounted at a 45-degree angle, and they allow the robot to strafe in any direction. You can go up, down, left, right, diagonal if you wish. They're very nice, just there are some downfalls that make not every FRC team use them. In fact, most don't. Yeah. Next, we have the intake. The intake is powered by one servo motor on the side that you can't see, and then one brushless motor with its brushless motor controller mounted on the arm. And there are 8 rubber bands on the side that all allow the robot to intake and actuate. There's a little ramp that comes down in order to scoop the balls up. If without the ramp, it would just kind of get sucked underneath the robot. So that's the ramp, and there are 2 carbon fiber rods that just add reinforcement because these rubber bands are actually pretty powerful and try to crush the intake. Next we have the spindexer. It is just a regular spindexer. The first one that I've actually made and it holds 6 balls in the carousel, though I can change that really easily in the CAD. It holds up to 50 balls, and this little hopper can shoot them all in about 10 seconds. So 5 balls a second. So after being spindexed, it all comes down to this one servo motor back here, which pushes the balls up and into the throat, which then the throat, which is powered by this one motor, which then goes up to the shooter right here. And the shooter has an adjustable hood as well as a turret, so you can go left and right, up and down with this one motor back here, and it allows it to aim in pretty much any direction. For the electronics, I have a custom PCB right here, and you can see its name, Mirror, right there, and on the side. It has a lot of PWM outputs for each motor, each servo, and some sensors, such as the MPU 6050, which is just a gyroscope, very cheap gyro you can find on Amazon, as well as the radio receiver, which is all controlled by one PS2 controller and this receiver. It also has a laser mounted on the shooter, and that is mostly it. Just a lot of other tinkering.
Okay, these motors, what type of motors are these?
It has 7 brushless motors, and so these are just regular drone motors that you can find. Most, if not all of them, are geared down because they spin at an insanely fast RPM, and they have lots of torque, which is why I decided to use them. Lots of torque, and they are not very expensive, so that's good. And then it has 6 servo motors. Most of them, 6 or 5 I believe, has one regular size MG995 right here, and then there's several others that just help to actuate all the different axes of this robot.
And these gears, can you tell me something about the gears that you're dealing with?
The gears are all herringbone gears. What's special about them is they don't look like a regular gear, but they actually act exactly the same. It's just that they have a little bit higher strength and are less prone to just shearing. They're all 3D printed in just regular PLA, and they seem to hold up relatively well.
Cool. And anything else? Oh, so what was the biggest problem that you faced making this?
Biggest problem was getting the spindexer right. There were many times where the ball would just kind of jam. Like you could have a jam case where the spindexer is just sitting right here. A ball comes here right in the corner, and okay, sometimes it just kind of twitches, but usually like right here, the ball is kind of stuck there. You tell it to fire, and it just can't because the ball is being smashed there. So I could not find a mechanical way to fix this issue, so I fixed it in software by having the spindexer go in the opposite direction every once in a while to clear out jams automatically.
Ah.
It reduces the firing rate, but at least it does not jam and break motors.
Cool. Oh, and you have the same type of gearing. Let's see if I can get this to come in focus. For the
turret,
turret, yeah.
Here, I can move it.
Okay, and now how fast does your shooter spin? Is there a spinning wheel?
2200 times 11 volts, which is pretty fast. I don't know the number off my head, but
Very good. That is awesome. So, for future robotics kids, do you have any advice?
Get a 3D printer. It's becoming relatively cheap nowadays, and I think the stuff that you can make with it and the experience that you get is invaluable, and yeah.
Excellent.
Pretty much the only reason why I was able to make this robot.
Oh, can I ask you roughly what this robot cost you, all told?
About $240, I'd say. There were some components that I didn't have to pay for because I already had on hand, like such as the servo. I already had an Arduino Mega, but these are relatively cheap. I also had a battery lying around. You just need a LiPo charger. But the main things that cost the biggest are probably the electronic speed controllers, which is pretty much like FRC, except these speed controllers, instead of $80 for a SparkMax, they're about $20 for one of them.
Very good. Well, thank you so much, MingWei. And where are you going to college next year?
UCSD.
Excellent. You're going to major in?
Electrical engineering.